and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie.
Slow
Today
down.
we are here with Joey Dizon. Welcome, and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, ladies. My name is Joey Mack, aka the Smoking Panda. United States Marine Corps veteran, located here in beautiful East Coast, New Jersey. So I am the co-founder and CEO of the Mobile Cigar Lounge, where we bring the cigar and whiskey experience to weddings and private parties. So I just want to say thank you, ladies, for having me on board.
Thank you so much for coming on. And I want to know where Panda came from. Where did the nickname Panda come from? I love it.
Oh, thank you. During in college, I used to play rugby. And pandas are cute and they look great, but then they're still a bear. So
people forget that.
Yeah, people forget that. So they called me Panda when I was playing rugby, and that's kind of like the smoking panda. And plus I'm Asian too, so it just all goes around. So this guy is the smoking panda. So I've been running with it.
I like it.
How did you get into rugby? That's such a non-American sport.
No, you know what? I played American football, went to a private military school up in Vermont, and a lot of my good friends. So I was playing football at the time, but a lot of my good friends were playing rugby, and they were like, "Hey, bro, why don't you just do football in the fall and then play rugby in the spring?" So football was D3, our rugby team was D1. So I was like, you know what, I'll play. So I started playing, and I got to play against D1 schools, and I didn't look back ever since. I played D1 against Harvard, Yale, West Point, got to travel to go to Ireland. When I deployed to Mongolia, I met some Tongan Royal Marines that played rugby. When I deployed over to Norway, I got to pass the ball around with some Royal British Marines. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, I played the sport because a lot of my good friends, I didn't know what it was, but something that really, really turned me on about it was like, because I'm normally a big guy, right? They're like, hey, as a big guy, you can run the ball. And I was like, what? Because football, if you're a lineman, you don't really touch the ball unless you're the center. And then so they're like, no, you get to run the ball. You get special plays for you. I was like, that's pretty cool. So then I played it one semester and changed my life. And I met some of the greatest people playing rugby. So
that's pretty
awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't rugby like football, but more aggressive?
Think about like football plus soccer. Yeah, football and soccer put together. The ball doesn't stop.
I just remember at one time somebody described it to me as like football is the pussy version of rugby.
Literally, we don't have no pads. I know a lot of people don't even wear cups. It's just, it's great. It's nice. It's a nice polo with some short shorts and some cleats. So it's a really good sport just to play. So, and the great thing is there's a big drinking culture behind it as well. So part of the game is,
there should be.
Oh, there is. So what I love about it, say if we play each other and I play at your field, right, or your pitch, as it say. Traditionally, the hosting team has a drink up afterwards. So when we went to Ireland, every pitch had a pub next to it. So when you were done beating each other up, you go up to the bar or the pub and you drink a pint, and then you sing rugby songs and you kind of celebrate each other. Like, hey man, there's times where I've been up to a guy or guys come to me and it's like, hey bro, nice hit and stuff. And we just kind of toasted. I'm like, nah, no worries, bro. It was for the good of the game. So it's kind of like a gentleman's sport with a bunch of violence into it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, a gentleman's at the end where you have a pint and you just celebrate. So it's pretty fun.
I just want the drink at the end.
That sounds awesome. The only thing I ever knew about rugby was the Friends episode when Ross got his ass handed to him. So now I actually know what rugby's about.
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, since you kind of touched on your military career a little bit, why don't you give us more background of your military career?
Yeah. So 3 days after I graduated high school, jumped right on the bus and got into Parris Island. Went to the Marine Corps. So my boot camp was in Parris Island in South Carolina. I did that for 13 weeks, came back home and spent a couple weeks here because I actually got accepted into college as well. So when I was going my senior year, I got accepted into Norwich University. It was funny because I did a lot of I'm not boasting myself, but I did a lot of activities, honor society, and different types of like extracurricular activities. And they were like, "Wait, you're just going in the Marine Corps?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Do you go think about going to college?" So I was like, "Yeah, I applied to one." And they're like, "Wait, you should apply to like multiple." They're telling me. I was like, "Now, if I don't," they're like, "What if you don't get in?" I'm like, "Then I'll just stay in the military." That was kind of like they're like, "What are you doing? Like you're a good kid, like." So I was like, "Nah, whatever." But during that time, I got accepted, so. I told the university that I had to take a semester off because I had to I had to go to boot camp and stuff. So September, I graduated from Paris Island, spent a week or two over here back in New Jersey, kind of like going back to my drill. Where I used to, where I got recruited from, helped out a little bit there. And then I went back to North Carolina for infantry school. So I signed up to be a grunt, an 0311 or 11 Bravo for the Army cats out there. So I did that for 10 weeks and then we graduated in December. They really sped things up for us because they're like, we had 1 week left. So they didn't want us to get shipped back home, for like Christmas and New Year's and then come back. That's just like a waste of money.
Yeah.
So they literally just put everything together. They're like, we're doing everything like now so we can get you guys out of here. Graduating December, and then checked into my unit as a reservist in 225 Golf Company here in New Jersey. And then at the same year in January, I went up and went to college. And then during that
Nice.
same year too, I met my business partner. He was a new joint a couple months after, and Alvaro Patrick, and he came into the unit, and that's when I met him. And then during that semester, probably the semester after when I started playing rugby, that's where I met my next business partner, Miley. So I've known both of them since 2006.
Nice. Long history then.
Yeah, long history.
So were you always in the reserves or did you ever go active duty?
Nope, did all reserves. So
Good for you.
I was in that track where I was like, I'm gonna get my college degree, mission, 20 years, let's go. And then I joined the infantry. I was like, I can't wait to get out.
Like,
So
nope.
yeah, nope. But what? Something that I loved, even though not active duty, I'm not trying to say, but I did NROTC over in college. I didn't, I didn't go to the 10 weeks like to the PLC programs for officers and stuff. I just did my ROTC, drilled every week, but it was just kind of like I had the PT anyway, so it just felt like freaking active duty, but with school included. And then I
Yeah.
had practice after, and I was just like, I'm trying to be a college kid, but at the same time, I got the military lifestyle. But during that time when I was attending Norwich University, I deployed 3 times. One
Wow.
to Mongolia. So we were there for like, I think it was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Then we did Mongolia, Norway, and then Iraq in 0809. So even as a reservist, I got to go to, these countries and I got to deploy to a combat zone. So it's kind of like, even as a reservist, I got a pretty cool experience out of it.
I would say so. That's got to be hard though to deploy while you're trying to go to school. Jeebus.
It's funny. So I love this, right? Chicken's real. When I was like packing stuff up. I just moved to this house like 3 years ago. So when I was looking through my stuff, I found my college transcripts of like my grades and stuff. So like the semester before I pumped out, I was 21 years old. I was about to turn 21 in April. So that spring semester, I was like, F it. Like, I'm going to war, baby. Like, why do I need school? So you saw a lot of like C's, D's, and F's.
Ouch.
One F and stuff. And I had to take like an online course or something.
So that you didn't fail and you could still graduate.
Yeah, so I can still graduate. I mean, I graduate 4 years traditionally. It just took me longer because of my deployment, but like I did take an extra class. I think it was politics. Go figure. I just hate politics. So I had to take online courses during the summer to just do like 3 credits so that I'm on par to graduate. So if not, then I would have to like do a huge load. I mean, I was taking 18 to 21 credits each time, but then I would have to do a bigger load during my senior year. I'm like, nah, F that. So yeah, it was funny because you would see like C's, D's, and then like maybe one or two F's, I forget. And then I did like choir as like as like an extracurricular thing. So you see like the A, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just like, yeah, it's an A, but it's just like one credit. Yeah. But when I deployed during those times. So before I deployed, I got my transcript. So it was like shitty, whatever. When I came back, then it was like A's, B's, and like C's. Like just being honest, right? When I had deployed to Mongolia and Norway, I just basically went up to my professors, right? And so they were part of the militia, I would say. And so they were like, oh, okay. So because I handed my orders, what are they gonna say? So they're like, all right, when you get back, so don't forget about this work here. Instead of like 4 tests, we'll just average 3 tests. And he's like, then you're just responsible for like knowing the stuff that you missed for the final. I go, done. So when I deployed, it was funny because like I would go to like Norway for like a month, and I come back to school, and they're like, "Yo, where have you been?" I was like, "I was just in Norway," and so I just go right back into class. It would just be the funniest. Or like when we went to Mongolia, it was just those things. So.
KP talked about that too. He's like, I would go and come back and people would be like, where you been? Like, you'd only be gone a week. And he's like, I've been gone 6 months. Where have you been?
Yeah, exactly. So it is pretty funny. So it's enjoyable. Yeah.
Thanks
cool.
for noticing my absence. I'm so glad you missed me.
I must have been so much important to you. Right? I've been gone for like X amount of weeks. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for just now noticing that I wasn't there.
It was a cool experience.
So what led into the inspiration or creation of the Mobile Cigar Lounge then?
Great question. And for being someone like, so going back to how old I was, right? 21 in 2008. So when I deployed over, I was a 21-year-old. It was in September when we got in country. So we had to do 3 months, kind of like 3 months of the workup in 29 Palms. If y'all have ever been there, beautiful base, destination's great. It's a great atmosphere. Sarcastic right now because that place is terrible.
I was gonna say, if you are being serious right now, you are saying the total opposite of everything that I've ever heard about 29 Palms. We were never stationed there, but I've never heard good things about it.
It's the most terrible place, and I pray for those because that's our comm school for communication. So and tanker school, I believe. So if you ever have to go to those schools, you have to go through 29 Palms, and that is horrid. So we did that for 3 months in June, July, August. So 3 beautiful weather months for any type of travel.
The hottest months out of the year.
Oh, absolutely. And then we pumped over. So going back to like how we started this, that's when I started like smoking. I didn't smoke that many cigars at the time. But I started doing a lot of cigarettes, because you hear, just being real, when you're a vet or you're a serviceman or woman and you're that young 20-year-old, your body's still like, it doesn't like hurt anytime you drink anymore, where it's just like, hey, smoke them if you got them, right? And then we go to that smoke pit, and that little like time that we have, I like to call it like a tactical pause. I think those were like very beautiful moments of like when you could just take a break. Whether it's you're about to get either A, you got to do training, B, you got to do some other BS that you have to do, or C, you're about to get chewed out, so you might as well have a cigarette, So I've had some awesome experiences with that. So deploying to Iraq as a 21-year-old, it definitely has a lot of emotions into it. I signed up to be in the Marine Corps. I signed up to join the infantry. So this is what I got. This is what I asked for, right? And so it was excitement. It was scared, especially coming from a 2004, 2005, when the Battle of Fallujah erupted. A lot of things on all sides of our branches. I think that's something to look at. And so coming in 2008, and we're trying to quote unquote kind of like sustain the country or make it sustainable, right? It's kind of like there's a lot of things that are popping off. So once we got there, same thing. We were surrounded. I got into a fob. forward observing base where I was listening, right? And it was just like 140, 150 Marines. And it was just like a small community, but we had to babysit 2 towns. It was around the Akshet area and AO West. But, there was always reports of there was going to be we always we laugh about it now because we're like, oh, they keep saying rocket attacks, and we put on our stuff and we're like, civilians were probably like, you guys are insane. If I heard rocket attack, I'm putting everything on. But there are times where it's just like, it's just another warning, or it's not going to happen. But we dealt through that. But those beautiful moments of there were cigars that were shipped, and at that time I still didn't know what cigars meant to me. But I've always told people, I wish I could remember the first cigar I smoked, but I'll always remember the people I smoked it with. And I think that's super important, especially when I go through the military and I go through college. There were times like, but next time I smoked cigars was when I graduated college. And same thing, I don't remember the cigar I smoked, but I remember the circle. I remember the feeling, the people, the atmosphere, the environment. And so when you take that into consideration, right, what do you think of when you think of the word cigar? You think of words like luxury, you think of words as community, social. Those words pop up. So when you think about it as turning it into civilian sense, what are huge milestones that people think of? Weddings, birthdays, retirement parties. So I use that same concept as we did in the military. So even though our business is 100% veteran owned and operated, our team is 100% veterans and first responders. Why not have, thank you. Why not have someone that truly understands the value of life at your event? Because they understand what it means to be in the moment. Because you don't know if your next day is your last day. So I always take that into, so sorry, long story short, but that's why we started the company. We want to value those moments. We want to value those milestones, and we want to create those unforgettable experiences and turn them into unforgettable memories whatsoever. So I think that's a huge part of why we started our company.
I love it.
All right, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. Take care. No, I'm just kidding.
And we're done. All I came on here for was to plug my business. Bye.
All right, you can find me at so-and-so.
Find me on Instagram.
I love these. And I applaud both of you, Connie and Rieta, that I love having these. I mean, I do like different podcasts, but I always enjoy kind of like the openness and where we can joke around and stuff. So I thank you for creating this kind of like the space to do it. So appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Us joke around? Never.
Never.
I would never.
And I actually really related to what you were saying because I used to be a smoker, and I smoked in college, and I definitely remember those moments when you came home from a long day of classes and everybody was sitting out on the stoop together, like, how was your day? Pass me a cigarette. How was your day? Like, it was just one of those things we were all like, all right, we're home now.
My husband is basically the epitome of your business, because that's literally the only time he'll smoke a cigar is at weddings, funerals, parties. Yeah. It's not like an everyday thing. It's only if there's an occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are great smokers. And that's why we kind of base our business. That's why when I first started off my business, I started taking pictures and capturing like the cigar. And you could see from where we first started in 2018 or what we post now, it's not, the cigar is just the vessel. The opportunity is the experience. So when you think about that, when I market myself out there, the cigar is just a small little piece of the pie. When you add that cigar with the things of, we're coming during your last 2 hours. So you're like, people are just chilling out. The formalities are over. People are dancing. It's already a good vibe in the party. You add the cigar, and then at that time, the Venetian hour, you got the dessert, you got the coffee, you got the last calls. You got 2 hours left, so you're kind of just partying it out. I think adding the cigar elevates that experience, which is why it makes it like pretty interesting and fun.
That's awesome. I love it. My husband would be all about it. He is an absolute cigar and whiskey person. He would be, can you come to Hawaii for his birthday?
Absolutely. there's a small little travel charge, but we'll see if we can work on it.
Yeah, like pay for everything, Rihanna.
Yeah.
Dude, I wish, but as you know, like my husband's a Marine, the money isn't,
Yeah. No worries. I'll see if I can get him that GI discount or something. Yeah, but totally understand. So even like I always like to say I'm everyone's best excuse, right? When we meet up, I always have a nice drink. I always like to have a nice smoke. So it's like sometimes husbands or even the wives, they come home and they smell like smoke. They're like, oh, you smoke a cigar? And they're like, oh, I had to meet with Joe. He owns a cigar company. I can't say no because he gave me one of his cigars. He's also Asian, so it's like disrespectful in their culture to say no. So
Nice.
it's just like all
Real
these
nice.
things of like, I'm your best excuse.
oh my God.
Imagine if your husband came home, Rihanna, and he's like, you smell like cigars? Like, where did you go? It's like, oh, I met with my friend Joe. And you just saw a picture of me smiling with a cigar next to him. Like, oh, he seems harmless. So he's good.
Except he's a smoking panda, so he may look harmless, but he's really not.
Yeah,
Because he is a bear.
He is a bear.
A panda is a bear.
That's true.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like now my wedding was missing the Mobile Cigar Lounge. Tom would have loved that. Oh my gosh.
You know what's funny? Just because I think through COVID and being from the East Coast, where we were one of the first states to close during that time. It was almost a year, like a year and some change. Because I remember, because me and my partner, he was getting married in September, so we did a bachelor party St. Patrick's Day weekend in Philly. So
Nice.
that was that time. Great time. We went to, that whole thing with the, I was just talking to someone about some ideas for grooms. That whole thing with the strip club, like that's like, that does nothing for me. I'll be out there. I could count, and even my wife knows. I could count the number of times she's like, "Are you guys going to the strip club?" I'm like, and I had Miley on the phone, and my partner. I'm like, Miley, honestly, tell Sarah because he knows her. I'm like, we've probably only been like, we've known each other for 16 years. We've probably went to a club maybe like once or twice. I'm like that, and not because him and I wanted to go, it's because someone was visiting and they're like, "Hey, I'm in New Jersey, let's go." So I'm like, "All right, let's go take him here," and it was just like whatever. But like, we had a great time. We did some pub crawls. We had some dim sum. We had some cheesesteaks. We had some awesome cigars at the Ashton Cigar Bar, and then a couple days later, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York City closed down. Yeah, and then we were driving on the way up. And we're like, are we like patient zero? Like, because like it was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, that was a year plus ago. So.
At least you had one last big like hoorah before it happened. I mean, that's a way to go out.
Yeah. Oh, I felt bad for the businesses because it was supposed to be like a record St. Patrick's Day weekend pub crawl in Center City, right in downtown Philadelphia, was supposed to be like record-breaking numbers of just people. So when I did that, I was just like, before pre-COVID, I was just like, yo, this is an awesome freaking time for like a bachelor and his groomsmen. Yeah. We're just going to just pub crawl, cheap beer, cheap Irish whiskey, and just go around and just have a good time. Like that was like the recipe to success. And then all these clubs, all these bars bought so much, and you could see people didn't come. They literally had a fraction of what they had last year. Oh, like they set up the ropes. I remember going to this pub. They set up the ropes all the way around the corner, all the way around. No line. People, you could just walk in, but they were expecting the long line to go across. But it was just basically you just come in, stamped your hand, and that was it. But all those people, I wonder how much money they lost because
that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, because then they shut down the city right after. So all that beer, all that food, all that like stuff that they paid for went to waste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in Illinois, over like 68,000 restaurants closed because of COVID. So I could only imagine what every other state's going to be like.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
With closures.
Oh, it's been super hard here in Hawaii because they're so tourist based that there's been businesses that have been opened 68 years that have closed their doors completely because they can't. They can't function anymore.
Yeah. No, I totally hear that.
Yeah,
can't wait to go to Hawaii though.
I haven't been to Hawaii since 2001.
When I first saw a picture of you, I was like, is he Hawaiian?
I get that all the time.
I was like, Hawaiian, maybe Samoan.
Yes, I get that all the time.
I did think the same thing. Sorry.
No worries. I'm Pacific Islander. I'm Filipino, so it's great because they're like these. I roll cigars, so people will be like, "Oh my God, this guy's Spanish. He speaks to me Spanish." I'm like, "I'm not Spanish." They're like, "Are you Hawaiian?" I'm like, "No, I'm Filipino." I'm like, "It's all good though." like,
close, but no cigar.
Yeah, exactly. The ding. So,
well, Filipino was third on my list, so I was getting there.
You're working well down. No worries.
I was getting there.
I'll give you the consolation prize.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite whiskey or scotch, whatever one you prefer? Because my husband and I both enjoy both. So I don't know if you prefer whiskey or prefer scotch. And
I want to know the favorite whiskey and favorite cigar.
Or maybe
birthday gifts for my husband is really what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Or maybe like what cigar goes best with like what whiskey?
What whiskey? Ooh.
Those are great questions. And I usually get that a lot. What's your favorite cigar? What's your favorite whiskey? And this is how I answer it. It honestly depends on the mood that I'm in. Like there's hundreds, maybe possible thousands of cigar brands. There's hundreds, possibly 1,000 whiskey, bourbons, and your single malt scotches. I've had some of the best experiences with a $10 stick. I've had some awesome experience with a $125 stick, a cigar. Oof. That is. And it's all about the experience. For example, I had a great weekend over in Miami 2019 before COVID hit, right in October. Great weekend. I mean, listen, when that opens up, I would advise y'all to go. It's a good friend of mine. She puts it all together, and we go on a yacht on Sunday, and it's this $30 million yacht, right? That you just travel around Miami, and it's all you can eat, all you can drink. And
yes,
you're smoking
please.
Cigars. Yes. And now let me tell you. So she's not doing it this year, but she's doing it next year. And I had the best week. It was just like 4 or 5 days of just meeting some awesome people. You're in Miami in November or October. So it's just like 70s, 75. I love that weather. That it's not too hot, not too cold. And I smoked it's a Padron, I think 70th anniversary. It's about like it's around like $70, $80 cigar. If you bought in New Jersey, it'd be like 100 plus. And it was such a great smoke, but it was such a great feeling. So that's one of my number one experiences as well. Another one was I had this great experience not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago. I met someone on Clubhouse, and we met up, and one of the top 2 drinking and eating and smoking experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I met this guy in Clubhouse, and we met up. He's in Jersey, and we went to this private place. We ate the most delicious food. We drank some really awesome scotches and smoked some really fine cigars. And these cigars were like probably like maybe like $12, $15 cigars. But the experience overall was bar none. And I was telling my partner, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had over a cigar. So I can't really put a brand to it. It really just depends on the experience. But when I usually smoke some of the premium quote unquote cigars for special occasions. I've smoked Davidoff, Padrones, and those some Partagas. I smoked some really good Cubans. It all depends on the experience. And I've drank some really expensive stuff, going from Pappy Van Winkle to 21-year-old single malt scotches. And I always remember those moments. I remember the first time I had Pappy. I remember the first time I had 21. And it was just those people that do those moments. So, and my flavor profile is different from others. So I kind of like tend towards the single malt scotches. I'm not a bourbon guy. American whiskeys, so-and-so, but I'm a big single malt scotch guy. And then for cigars, my flavor profile is more in the medium to full bodied range that I smoke. So I know it's not like the brand, but for anyone who's serious about drinking or smoking, there's a lot out there. But it's those experiences I can relate with over a cigar.
So somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to book your Mobile Cigar Lounge. What cigars would you recommend for like my bachelor party or whatever? Do you have a like recommendations for people who are booking your Mobile Cigar Lounge?
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
curious.
No, that's a great question. So usually when I meet up with these people, not a lot of them are like avid cigar smokers. Like
Mhm.
some of the other people I've met or known, or for me being an experienced cigar smoker. So I usually recommend them. It's our premium Nicaraguan blend, so it's a nice Nicaraguan cigar. It has nuances of like earthiness, a little peppery in the front, it really smooths out there in the second and last third, and it's a mild in strength. And I think that's a great cigar to smoke with, just because you don't know who smokes, right? You could actually get sick from smoking like a heavier cigar if you don't have a full stomach, if you're inhaling it. So starting off with something that's mild and easy on the palate, I think gets people turned on towards cigars. And there's people who've smoked like infused cigars or quote unquote flavored cigars, and I never knocked them because that's what they like. I don't remember. I used to be a Jack and Coke kind of guy when I was growing up. Now
Yeah.
I don't drink anything I like 12s and above. But it's just like you develop your palate. So
Yeah,
someone
it
that I would
definitely
recommend.
changes as you get older for sure. Like
Absolutely.
I was the same. Like I didn't necessarily drink Jack, but like I would never drink whiskey straight. Now that's the only way I drink it. Like straight, neat, nothing in it. Like I want to taste the booze. And when you think about 20-year-old self, you're like, I just want to get drunk.
Yeah. Give me that Ciroc on the rock. Let me get that Jack and Coke. Let me get vodka and
Vodka
ginger.
Sprite all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, vodka
Yeah.
Sprite. Now I can't even stomach that. I can't even
Mm-mm.
it's
I
weird.
can't either.
Yeah, it's
I can't either.
but I don't, like I said, I don't knock people because they don't know. I didn't know, but then when I show them, and that it's funny, and you probably see it, Rieta, where they drink like a single malt or like an American whiskey, and they're just like, "Oh, that burns." I'm like, "It feels good."
It's a good burn. Does
It's a
it
good
feel
burn.
good?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I went to a party. I guess it's been a while because of COVID. I couldn't even tell you when now. And I brought a bottle with me. And I have a girlfriend who's quite a bit younger than me. She's still in her 20s. And I do think your palate changes when you go from your 20s to your 30s. She's like, "Well, can I try?" And I'm like, "Well, absolutely you can." And she took it straight and she was like, "Woo!
Yeah.
I can't do that."
Yeah. It's just like you think about, so how do you compare that with other stuff? Like, for example, like wines, like how there's a flavor palette, there's a palette to it. You either go with the Rieslings, the Moscatos, if you go all the way sweet, all the way to your Pinot Grigios or Cabernet Sauvignons, your Merlots. And so it's the same thing. How do you like, I always usually ask people, how do you like your steak? How do you drink wine? What kind of beer do you like drinking? Are you more for the stout, the heavy, full body? Or are you more for the Mike Hard lemonade? Or are you looking for those IPA fruity things? So then when I answer,
seltzers that are so popular right now.
Oh,
they're so
yeah.
good. I'm not gonna lie. On a hot day, I'll take a seltzer.
It's pretty
Yeah.
refreshing.
But it's got to be a Truly, not a White Claw. The White Claws can go away.
Yeah,
Yes.
truly.
I love
I have a good friend who owns a brewery here in Jersey City, New Jersey, and he does some
Yeah.
really. It's 902 Brewing, so 902 is like a area code, and
I figured.
yeah, so that it was solid seltzers, and it's so funny. I have two mixed drinks that I go to that people don't think I drink. So I do seltzers every once in a while, but besides the neats, I absolutely freaking love
Margaritas. Just joking.
Bloody Marys. I'm a Bloody Mary. I'm a Bloody Mary whore. So I love Bloody Marys, especially when it's house made.
There you go.
And then I do enjoy the I like my old fashioned, very particular. But
Yes,
but
same.
with Bloody Marys, I love brunch. I had a couple Bloody Marys this Sunday. And yeah, if I go up to you, not that stuff where you just pour from like a bottle.
Oh yeah, that's gross.
Oh,
yeah,
gross.
yeah, gross.
But I'll ask them, like, is this house made? And they're like, no. Then I'm like, I'll just take a water.
Yeah.
I'll just take a water. But if it is, I'm like, all right, let me try it.
Yeah, I bartended for a long time and used to make really good Bloody Marys. Now, are they serving it too correctly, or are they giving you a beer backer?
A
Because
what?
with a Bloody Mary, you're supposed to get a beer backer.
A beer
What
backer?
is that?
Yeah,
What
it's
is
like
that?
it's a little shot of beer.
Mind blown.
My mind is blown right now. Just so everyone knows, this is not because there was a edit cut. It was just like us just being silent. You know what? I'm gonna try that. You know what's funny? I was just on Clubhouse that morning, and I was telling people I had to do a thing, and I was asking what people's favorite brunch meals and drinks were. And so my friend Nicholas, he goes, "Have you ever had a manmosa?" I was like,
Ooh.
"Manmosa? What's that?" And he goes, "You have the
Manmosa.
champagne, orange juice, shot of a Tito's vodka,
Ooh.
Mhm.
and then a Blue Moon." So
Wow.
you pour that all together, and it's a manmosa. So I went inside. They didn't have Blue Moon. They had a flat tire, which is kind of like that orange,
Yeah,
orangey
it's
a
kind
little
of
bit.
similar. A little
Kind of
bit.
similar, a little bit. So I did that. Fantastic. But so yeah, it depends on my mood, But I don't, if I'm at a cigar bar, cigar lounge, I'm probably not drinking it. But actually, I was at a cigar lounge and I had Bloody Marys and mimosas, so it was pretty good. Pretty good.
That's awesome.
That's fun.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to try a manmosa, even though I'm not a man. I'm gonna have to try a manmosa
No, it's all good. It's all good.
because I like Blue Moon. I like all the ingredients. So
Yeah.
Now,
Put
see
it-
if you
you
like
just
them
put it all
together.
together. Yeah, they didn't shake because then it already has. I mean, you're a bar.
It
Yeah.
has a lot of carbonation already.
Correct.
If
So
you
it's
shake it,
not
you're
like,
gonna get in the
yeah,
face.
do you still
Yeah.
do they still put the orange slice in it, or is the
Yeah,
orange?
they do. They do.
Okay,
They do.
cool.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you got to have the orange slice because it brings out the flavor in the Blue Moon.
Correct, and you could smell, and with our senses with the thing. So, yeah, I had it pretty solid. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Yeah,
Right.
So just 4 ingredients.
I'm gonna have to
Okay,
try
so
one.
since we asked about your favorite cigar and whiskey, what if you could eat anything, what would you eat, or what would be your last meal? If you got to pick a last meal, what would it be? Figured since you said like on your profile, you said you're a foodie, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna throw this one at him.
Yeah, so man, I am food. Like, look at me. This is not by accident. I know people can't see me right now. You can see
Same.
my picture. I enjoy food.
Yeah.
I knew
It's
it was gonna
definitely
be a
gonna have-
hard one.
Yeah, you know what? It's definitely gonna have to be a steak. I enjoy a ribeye.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because of the marbling. I enjoy beef fat, just because it's savory.
Wait,
unlike
what about
pork fat.
Wagyu?
Wagyu, I've had Wagyu. It definitely. So whatever, I could get if I had to pick
Mhm.
grass-fed ribeye or a Wagyu steak, if I had that option.
I
the
mean, it's
side-
your last meal. It can be anything you want.
Oh yeah,
it to
so
be.
let's go the Wagyu, and then probably I do enjoy some. If you ever had truffle mashed potatoes, freaking delicious.
I've had some truffle fries that were bomb with
Oh.
Parmesan.
Yeah,
Oh,
so just like imagine that on your mashed potatoes.
I'm
So if I
pretty
had
sure my
that-
mouth is watering right now.
I know,
not
I'm like-
even-
we're all gonna be hungry and go eat right after.
and then probably like a nice little, maybe like grilled asparagus or like some grilled, but like having that all together, just that steak and that and then I have a whiskey and a cigar afterwards. I'm pretty satisfied. Like I'll be good to
Living
go.
large.
Yeah,
that sounds good to me. Yep.
yeah. So yeah, that would be definitely my my last meal. So
I think that's what my husband's would be as well. Like any type of steak, give him all of the steak.
yeah, just simple ingredients done properly. Steak,
Exactly.
just nothing crazy on it. Just a nice salt, pepper.
Yep.
Done. I don't want none of that. I don't need to do that garlic butter or anything like that. Just a nice steak, all that flavor let speak for itself, especially if you're talking about the Wagyu. You get more of that deeper flavor. If you ever had Wagyu before, deeper flavoring of that beef. So
I have a Wagyu steak in my freezer. We're saving it for Tom's birthday, so I'll let you know how I like it.
sounds good. The big thing is not to overcook it.
Oh, no, he never overcooks his steak. There was a
Yeah.
time when he used to.
I asked Connie, are you a whiskey girl? Do you enjoy whiskey or you dabble? It's not
I
preferred.
do. I sip whatever my husband buys.
I
Like
got you.
he'll always, and I'll just sip it because I'm a pussy.
No, I don't say that. It's
No, you're not.
I live
everyone's
in the
palate's
seltzer
different.
area.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
my Prosecco.
Yeah.
That's it. Plain
Yeah, everybody's
vanilla.
palate is different. Dude, I have to say, Connie, though, the bartender at your wedding, I only needed one drink because I was like, I'll take some whiskey. And like, no kidding, like all the way up to the top. And I was like, you're my
Love
kind of
it.
girl. Here's a 20.
Well,
You know, it's funny. Judging by your how you like your steaks, you can see why Rietta likes whiskeys and why Connie kind of like goes towards the other end. Because that's the question that I ask: how do you like your steaks? And that's usually how I judge of how you would like your whiskeys, and also how do you like your cigars. So Rietta would probably go for the medium to full, and Connie, I'll probably start you off with either a flavored or a mild cigar. So that's how
probably
I would.
mild, probably nothing because I don't like smoking anything.
Yeah,
I
so
just-
that's why it's like no worries.
I've- Yeah.
But that's how I'd figure people's like quickly like flavor profiles. Like, okay, I think
Yeah.
this person this person's that. This is what you should drink. This is what you should not drink.
I feel like
Yeah.
I figured we were kind of similar because when you said you didn't drink bourbon, because I don't drink bourbon either, really, because it's just too
Yeah.
sweet. So when you said that, I was like, we're on the same wavelengths.
Correct. You know, it's funny. There's like a fun. I mean, listen, I'll try it and
Yeah.
stuff. Like I'm
Mhm.
doing. I just had some bourbons. We do taste testings once a month. We're having Sagamore Spirits, which is like an American whiskey coming in.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like having bourbon, there's usually a fine line between like whiskey drinkers and bourbon drinkers, and
Yeah.
you could kind of like tell. And yeah, I'm a very single malt whiskey guy. What do I try bourbons? Absolutely. You know, I have a cognac. Someone just shipped me some cognac. So we're gonna have a taste testing, but like I'm not cognac, but I want to explore my palate because this is my job. So,
Yeah.
so I have to know. Woe is me that I have to taste all this alcohol.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, can I come hang out with you guys? Can you
Yeah.
can you hire me? Do you need
Yeah.
anybody?
Yeah, come through.
So since you're a veteran and I'm assuming you like to support other veteran companies, have you heard of Rogue, like Rogue American Apparel, and then they also do Rogue Spirits?
I have not.
No.
I'm gonna look
Oh
it
my
up.
god.
What's it called? Rogue?
Rogue, Rogue. They make a whiskey that's called Dead Guy Whiskey.
I love it.
It has become
That's a
one
good
of my
name.
favorites. The taste, like all
You
the
looking it
flavors
up
that
right
you
now,
get from
aren't
it,
you?
Yeah.
It's so good. Like it's just a little sweet. You get a slight like vanilla from it. Like, ooh, it's just I love it. It's so good.
Oh.
And they're a veteran owned company. I'm pretty sure he was a Marine too. But they have beer too and all sorts of stuff. They're I think they've got Dead Guy Ale too. There's Dead Guy Whiskey and Dead Guy Ale. They're both really good.
I'll have to look into that too for Tom's birthday because that's like coming up. But I keep on being like, we're going to Hawaii. Does your birthday count? No, we're going to go to Hawaii.
Sorry, I'm looking at this Rogue. That's pretty dope. Yeah, that's something.
Yeah,
I
the
gotta-
bottle's cool looking. I have a bottle downstairs. It's become one of my favorites. That just got a nice flavor profile.
You know what I love? A lot of these bottles, you can get a lot of nice bottles for under $75, even $50. Like I'm even looking at it, it's around like 70, well, depending which one you get. You can find a lot of good bottles out there for under $75.
Oh,
Solid bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
great.
I only paid like 45 for that, which to me, I mean, that's nothing. I mean, when you start buying, you know how it
Yeah.
is. When you start buying scotches and like Macallans and Glenlivets and stuff, I mean, you're going to be paying way more than that.
Yeah,
which
you're
is
paying like
fine.
100 plus. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's what you pay, what you get for. But then when you start exploring the world of whiskeys and bourbons, you could find $30, $40. Even this for a $45 thing to bring at a party, and it has a really good value. Oh, I love it. Love it.
Actually,
love it.
I'll drink Tullamore Dew, which a lot of times you can find that
Yeah.
for $20, and it's a pretty decent, smooth
Yeah.
whiskey. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Tom gets on these like, I only will drink this for whatever reasons for like a month at a time, and then he'll change. And for like a good 6 months, Tullamore Dew. It was all him and his brother would drink. I
It's
was
good.
like, okay, like,
Yeah.
and it would go for 6 months, and it's like you drink it so often that it's like, okay, moving on to the next whiskey. And then right now his thing is Japanese whiskey. It's this one kind
I
of
saw that
Japanese
on his story
whiskey.
that he was
I
drinking
feel
the
like-
Japanese whiskey.
I feel like Tom and I could be really good friends.
Tom will be anybody's friend. He's like a really happy, fun puppy.
I'm sure if him and I,
friend. Okay.
I think if him and I meet, or it would just be like a match made in heaven. It would be like it'd be like so much broness.
It'd be a bromance.
Yeah, bromance. Of just like, hey man, have you tried this? Because Japanese whiskeys. Because I was about to say what kind of whiskeys, but you got your American, you got your Scottish, and then also you got your Irish, and then you got these world whiskeys. And I've had some Indian whiskeys, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I think you'd actually get along with my husband too, because he's a big whiskey and Kyle, he's a grunt too. He's a 0341. So you guys could also do
yeah, me and him are like even more bromance. Like, man, I know we have met before, but we're like bros.
I already told him, I'm like, I'm having this guy come on the podcast. He owns a Mobile Cigar Lounge, and when we move to the East Coast, can we? And he's like, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
we're all gonna move to the East Coast, and we'll meet up with you in Philly or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've never had a Philly cheesesteak, so
I'm actually going there tomorrow for a Philly cheesesteak. I have to do an event in Philly. I said I'll be crusty as hell. But yeah, Philly, their cheesesteaks. I'm so excited. I told my family.
Like white girl Chicago version of a Philly cheesesteak.
That's why I said I haven't had a real one, because ours do not count.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's like looking up a recipe and then making it. Yeah. I would still want to taste a real Philly.
Yeah.
So the whiskey that Tom is drinking is Suntory Toki Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, Suntory. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had some Suntories, Yamazaki, 12 years, 18 years.
The Suntory's become pretty popular recently.
Right. Yeah, because I heard they went over to Scotland, learned the process, brought it back to Japan, and refined it. And you know I love too. I don't know if y'all know this. You know how they get their flavors and their whiskeys and stuff. You know how they get that orangey flavor and stuff.
Oh, do tell.
It's all by the chemical of the process, of the aging process and stuff. So when we get that sweet notes, we're just like, oh, this tastes a little more caramelish, or this sweet toned or stuff. That's no flavors added to it. It's just the process of how it's made, that chemically it's the flavors that are created, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No wonder I love whiskey. It just does its own thing and it becomes something. See?
Yeah, it's basically the recipe of bread. Just like barley, water, and all that stuff, and yeast. And it's just like, oh, cool. We turned it into a drink.
And voila, alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of how the Irish did it too. A potato became vodka.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's cool to see different countries of like why certain things became certain things. It's just because it's just what was accessible to them. And yeah, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, Ireland and Scotland are high on my list. So when you said you went there, I was like, so jealous.
Yeah. It was cool. We got to go there for 7 days, played rugby. Basically, all I did there was play rugby and just drink and party. It was like the ultimate lifestyle of 7 days. And we were there for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my gosh.
We were there.
Awesome.
Oh, it was awesome. We were there for England versus Ireland and the Rugby Six Nations. It was dope. Like it was like and it was good weather while we were there too. It was a pretty awesome experience being in another country and just playing rugby. Yeah, and then we played like 3 games against some Irish teams, and then we went back to their pub and just drank and just sang some songs and had a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was good.
I wish I could have just been a fly on the wall during that whole week to just watch you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of
No. You just wanted to be there. You don't even want to be a fly on the wall. You wanted to be there. It's fine.
Okay. At a minimum, I wanted to be a fly on the wall.
The best part is I remember going to a club and a couple of like these people were just like, "Where are you guys from?" They're like, "You guys from the States?" We're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm from Jersey. And they're like, Jersey Shore. And they started like fist pumping. And I was like, how the hell do you guys know that? Like, how is this international right now? But yeah, they were just saying like Jersey Shore, and they're like fist pumping in the pub. And this was like in 2011. So Jersey Shore came out
Wow.
like a couple years before that. So
Yeah.
it was definitely in the end.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good times, good times.
One last hard hitter. I mean, none of these were really a hard hitter except for maybe the food one.
Love
So, how do you handle and balance your responsibilities as a husband, father, and business owner?
It's crazy. It sucks. Anyone that says that, I'm learning a lot of doing. You can't like really balance everything all at once. You got to sacrifice one thing for another. But having that plan, like owning a business and growing a business, right? My mindset and what I've communicated to my family is, let me build this now so that we can relax later. You know what I'm saying? I spend time with him at that point, but I gotta make sure I spend that time, right? I gotta make sure that whether it's like an hour or whatever of just hanging out with him before he goes to bed, that's important. But also important is I want to give him the best opportunities possible that I can, and I can't do that just sitting on my ass. Like I gotta work hard, and I don't plan to work hard the rest of my life. I plan to just grind it out, build it, and then just make everything happen to them. So yeah, how do I balance it? It's you talk to anyone who's in a certain level, and they're like, balancing is all that stuff is BS. You gotta sacrifice one thing for the next. You can't have a
Can't
business. You can't do it all. You can't do it all. There has
At
to be
least not
some
at the same
structure.
time.
Correct. And plus, and different levels of business. Like, are you just starting out? Or are you someone that has a business for 10, 15 plus years and you're sustaining it? So obviously you built it. Now it's just sustaining. Now you can do those. I know plenty of business owners that like they built in, they're no longer like in their business. Like they have a couple meetings, and then while their kids at school, and then when the kid comes home, he's like, where do you want to go? And then just like, well, we're traveling, we're doing all this stuff. So that's my dream. That's my goals. So
I feel that because my kid, I can hear him. My kid literally just came in downstairs, so I feel that like I'll finish up here with you guys, and then we'll do whatever.
yeah. And it's part of the grind, and that's what makes life a journey. But like, I think putting time, if there was one way to put it, at least dedicating time for each, and giving kind of like giving that commitment to at least be there. Like, I'm not saying be in your business 90% and say F your family for 10%. You know what I'm saying?
You're not gonna have a family in the end.
Yeah, you're not
going
to have a family in the end. But if you're going to be like 70%, 60% of your business, 40% family, at least let them know of why you're doing it. Why are you doing it? Because if you're just not telling them, and
they're going to be pissed.
Yeah, you're not home for long enough. And listen, I come home late sometimes when I'm at events. But my wife, my family understands. Like, I do it because it's my business and I want to grow it. And now that they see it, and now we're going to different states and all this stuff, yeah, so they take it seriously. And there are times where this is my office, I'm just stuck in here, but I'm just meeting, grinding. Like right now it's 8:32 here on the East Coast. But I've been at it since like 8-9 a.m. this morning. I probably had 2 hours in between, just to relax a bit and just kind of unwind. But I do it, like, it doesn't bother me. So
are you saying our podcast isn't relaxing?
No, it is. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Ask this guy. But no, but this is what I see. It's just like building these relations, getting to meet both of you, getting to interact, there's just things like,
we just want to be friends with our husbands. Let's face it.
Exactly. I just want to be that home wrecker to your husband. It's like, I don't see him anymore. He's with Joey.
Where's Tom?
I know. Yeah. A couple of my friends watch are like, you're such a home wrecker. I'm just like, well, I could be something worse, far worse. But I'm just taking your man out to drink and smoke. And when we go to these cigar bars, anyways, it's just all. It's funny. Like, people sometimes think it's like, oh, you go to a cigar bar or it's like a club. I'm like, to be honest with you, it's like 90%, 95% men. And if there's a woman there, that's someone's wife. Like, it's like it's all men there. So we just all go, we just hang out, and sometimes we just want to smoke and drink. So
I would totally be that wife. I'd be like, no, I'm going with. I want a whiskey and a cigar
Yeah.
too.
And that's what it is. Mostly if it's these cigar bars and lounges, most of the women that come there are probably like their spouse, their girlfriend, and they're just like tagging along, or they're avid smokers themselves, which is great.
I'm for sure the tagger along.
Yeah, Connie's definitely tagging along.
Like tag along. I want to see what you're drinking and smoking and stuff. I don't want to smoke, but I'll definitely have some drinks.
Yeah, you have some fun and have a couple drinks.
For sure.
Connie was gonna Connie pokes fun at you, and I was gonna be like, "Well, thank you for spending the extra hour on our podcast away from your family." And she's like, "You don't like our podcast."
I didn't even know.
That's because I'm sassy. What can I say?
No, I just want to say thank you so much to both of you for having me on. Definitely carry the conversations over after the podcast. But I just want to say thank you again for having us on, sharing our story, and also just being awesome hosts. So thank you again.
Well, thank you for being here. And this is How to Deal When Shit Gets Real. Email us our podcast and hit us up on Instagram